It was a crisp autumn morning when I received the first warning signs. Smoke, dark, heavy plumes rising from the direction of my property. My heart sank as I realized what had happened. Karen had struck again. By the time I arrived at the scene, the fire had already engulfed most of the house. Flames licked the walls, and the smell of burning wood filled the air. Neighbors had gathered at a safe distance, pointing and whispering. "It's Karen," one muttered. "She did this." I didn't waste time panicking. Years of experience, preparation, and a meticulous knowledge of my property allowed me to stay calm. I immediately called the fire department and coordinated with them to contain the blaze. Meanwhile, I made a mental note. Karen wasn't just trespassing anymore. She had escalated to criminal arson. Hours later, after the fire was contained, I surveyed the damage. My home was a charred skeleton of what it had been, but remarkably, my security systems had captured everything. Every moment, every movement, every laugh as she set the fire was recorded in crystal clear detail. The next morning, I filed a police report. Karen, of course, had tried to claim innocence, blaming a mysterious accident or faulty wiring. Her HOA friends even tried to back her story, but the footage told a different tale. The deputies were incredulous. "She just walked onto your property and set the house on fire?" one asked. "Yes," I said calmly, "and she recorded it all on security cameras. It's all there for prosecution." Court day arrived, and Karen strutted in as if she owned the room. The smoke-stained hoodie she had worn during the fire was now replaced with a designer outfit, but her arrogance remained. She attempted to argue that the fire was unintentional, that she didn't realize the consequences. The judge, however, was less than impressed. Security footage was played, showing Karen lighting accelerants and laughing while my home burned. Witnesses testified. The HOA's attempts to defend her collapsed under the weight of evidence. Karen's face turned pale as the judge read the charges: felony arson, destruction of property, and reckless endangerment. "You are hereby remanded into custody," the judge said. Handcuffs were placed on her wrists, and she screamed about injustice, but the courtroom remained unmoved. I stood silently, watching her struggle, realizing once again that Karen's sense of entitlement had no bounds, but the law always had limits she couldn't cross. She had underestimated my preparation, my security, and my knowledge of property law. Later, as I walked the remains of my home, I reflected on the lessons learned. Some people escalate when they feel powerless. Some people, like Karen, believe rules and laws don't apply to them. But when evidence, law enforcement, and common sense converge, chaos collapses and justice prevails. Karen left the courtroom in handcuffs, screaming for all to hear. And while the rebuilding of my home would take months, the satisfaction of seeing her caught in her own reckless web of actions was immediate. That day, I realized that no matter how far someone escalates, preparation, law, and patience are always the best defenses. Karen had burned my house to the ground, but she had walked straight into the consequences.